Welcome back to ProcessCast with Mark Anderson and Samantha Blake. Your go-to podcast for insights into business process management and the technologies transforming the way we work.
You know that feeling. Your to-do list is just endless, your inbox is constantly pinging, and you're jumping between meetings, barely catching your breath, let alone thinking strategically. If you're a manager, that probably sounds less like a nightmare and more like, well, just another Tuesday. So the real question is, how do you as a manager facing all this actually get a grip on your time and figure out what really needs your focus, not just whatever's yelling the loudest?
That's exactly it. It's the core of what we've been looking into. And it's less about finding secret hidden hours in the day and more about fundamentally rethinking how time gets spent, both by managers themselves and, crucially, by the organizations they're part of.
Okay.
We've gathered insights from, various angles, big picture organizational stuff, right down to the practical personal prioritization tricks to really grasp how managers can shift from just feeling swamped to being, truly effective.
Okay, so definitely more than just downloading another productivity app then. One of the things that really jumped out from the McKinsey research was this idea that if managers are constantly underwater, it's not always just a personal failing. Often it points to something deeper, organizationally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
They started with this story, right, about an executive already working crazy hours who was basically told she still had more time to give. It's almost unbelievable.
It sounds absurd, but the data actually backs up that feeling. McKinsey's survey found that the vast majority of executives are pretty unhappy with how their time is divvied up. And here's the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Less than half feel their time actually lines up with the company's strategic priorities.
Wow. Less than half?
Yeah. Think about that. The people supposedly steering the ship feel like they're constantly pulled off course.
Yeah.
That's not just an individual scheduling problem. It's like the company's compass is broken.
Yeah.
And this misalignment, it has real consequences for the whole organization's health and direction.
Exactly. It's like the organization keeps launching new things. Everyone's excited. Let's go, go, go. But nobody stops to ask, wait, do our leaders actually have the bandwidth to guide all this? This initiative overload they mentioned.
Yeah.
It sounds like a recipe for spreading everyone way too thin.
Totally. Leads to half-finished projects, burned out managers just fighting fires instead of, actually leading their teams.
Yeah.
And this brings up a really critical point. Organizations often just don't give managers much guidance on how to manage time effectively. You get promoted, and suddenly you're just expected to know how to juggle it all.
Right. Sink or swim.
Pretty much. And in reality, what happens? Many just default to letting their inbox and calendar invites run their day. The research highlighted these surprising differences in how people in the same role spend their time, and often the less effective performers. Their time is super fragmented, bouncing between tasks, not really focused on the big strategic stuff.
That totally clicks. It's so easy to get sucked into that reactive mode, dealing with every email as it comes in, while the important long-term thinking just keeps getting pushed back. And let's zoom in on a group that seems particularly squeezed by all this, middle managers. The McKinsey survey, focusing on them, paints a pretty stark picture.
Oh, absolutely. Middle managers are like the crucial gearbox of the organization, right? They connect the senior leadership's vision with the people actually doing the work. But they're often caught in this bind pressure from above, needing to support their teams below.
Yeah.
And the survey found they spend a huge chunk of their time, nearly half, on stuff that isn't even managing. We're talking admin tasks, individual contributor work they might have done before, things that pull them away from what they should be doing, developing their people, driving strategy.
Wait, nearly half their time on non-managerial work when they're in management roles? That seems incredibly inefficient.
It really is. And the research points out this major disconnect. Middle managers know what's valuable strategic work, coaching their teams, but they feel like the organization mostly values, just getting individual tasks done, ticked off the list.
So there's a tension there. They want to focus on developing talent, but the system pushes them towards just doing stuff.
Exactly. Managers see that coaching and developing their people is how they add the most value. They get it. But they're stuck doing lower value tasks because there's no time. Or maybe the organizational support isn't there to help them prioritize that development work. It's like asking someone to conduct an orchestra, but also making them tune every single instrument right before the show starts.
Right, right. And it's not just the tasks themselves, is it? The survey also highlighted these organizational roadblocks that actively get in the way. Bureaucracy seems like a big one. Endless meetings, email chains, approval layers.
Oh, definitely. Bureaucracy was called out as the biggest time suck across the board. Remember that example? The operations director tearing their hair out, needing to approve a $26 business card request?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It sounds small, but it perfectly shows how these tiny administrative hurdles just pile up and eat away hours of valuable leadership time. The survey also mentioned things like dealing with underperformers, the negative ripple effects of senior leader decisions, and losing good people, all big drains that pull managers into reactive firefighting mode instead of proactive strategic work.
Okay, so the picture's pretty clear. Overwhelmed managers, organizational blind spots, the squeezed middle. It's a complex problem. Let's shift gears now and talk solutions. McKinsey offered some really interesting institutional approaches. The first one that caught my eye was this idea of a time leadership budget. What's that about?
It's a really smart way to frame it. Think of leadership time like financial capital. It's finite, it's valuable. So instead of just launching project after project and hoping leaders can cope, companies need to actually analyze how much leadership attention each initiative really needs.
Okay.
They need to ask, what kind of oversight is required? How much decision-making time? From whom? It's about setting up a formal process, maybe a governance committee, to manage this time budget. They approve initiatives based not just on potential ROI, but also on whether the leadership bandwidth actually exists to support it properly.
So before saying yes to a big new project, you'd look at the financial case and the time cost for leadership. That's a pretty big shift.
It is. And that health system example they gave is great. Now, proposals for new initiatives have to include estimates of the leadership time needed and show that those leaders actually have that capacity without dropping other critical balls.
And if they don't have the capacity,
then the organization has to proactively look at, okay, what can we deprioritize? What can be delegated? It forces conscious choices about where that precious leadership time gets invested.
makes sense. The second recommendation was about considering time during organizational changes. We often just look at org charts, reporting lines, spans of control. But this suggests we need to think about the time needed to actually manage effectively within that structure.
Exactly. It's not just about the number of direct reports. Different roles need different levels of time investment. Managing, say, a team of highly specialized experts probably needs more one-on-one coaching time than managing a larger team doing more routine tasks.
Right.
So applying a rigid rule like everyone gets 8 direct reports might lead to micromanagement somewhere and neglect elsewhere. But thoughtful restructuring, like delayering done right, as seen in that health products company, can genuinely free up leadership time by cutting out redundant layers and making decisions faster. Same with that tech company that revamped its governance, saved a lot of executive meeting time.
Okay. Strategy 3 shifts to the individual manager, actually measuring and managing their own time. Sounds basic, but maybe it's not done enough.
It's amazing how often even senior leaders don't have a clear picture of where their hours really go. That professional services firm example is perfect. They did a detailed analysis and found partners spent way too much time on current clients and not nearly enough on strategic stuff like building relationships, finding new business, or, their own development.
The urgent, crowding out the important.
Precisely. Once you have that data, wow, I only spent 5% of my time on strategy last month, you can start making intentional changes.
It's that classic what gets measured gets managed idea, but applied to time. And the article made a great point. If incentives aren't aligned, time will drift towards whatever is measured and rewarded, even if it's not actually the most critical thing, like that supervisor spending all his time on admin because that's what his review focused on.
Absolutely. And they suggest concrete fixes, like putting time-related metrics in performance reviews. How much time did you spend coaching? Or on strategic planning. They also mention fostering a culture that values smart time use, maybe even some friendly competition around it. And this concept of leader standard work from lean manufacturing.
Leader standard work, what's that?
Think of it as defining the essential recurring activities that effective leaders must make time for, even if they don't feel urgent. Things like regular team check-ins, dedicated time for strategic thinking, connecting with key people outside your immediate team. Making these explicit and valuing them helps ensure they don't get squeezed out by the daily chaos.
Okay, fourth on the list. Refining the master calendar. This isn't just about sharing calendars, right? It's about being much more critical about meetings.
Much more critical, ruthless even. For every meeting, ask, What is the primary purpose? Is it just sharing info? Is it collaboration, performance review, or is it actually making a decision?
And they found a difference there.
Yeah, a really interesting one. High-performing organizations tend to spend more meeting time on making decisions and less time on just reporting stuff. Often it's the opposite in less effective places. That global manufacturer example, coordinating travel with quarterly meetings to maximize face-to-face collaboration time, shows that kind of intentionality.
Got it. And the final institutional point from McKinsey was about high-quality administrative support. It seems minor, but apparently it makes a huge difference.
A massive difference. The survey data was really clear. Managers who felt effective with their time almost always reported having strong admin support. Those who struggled rarely did. And that example of the CEO's assistant at the chemical company, that person wasn't just booking flights. They were proactively managing the CEO's and the top team's time based on strategic priorities, flagging conflicts, finding inefficiencies, even carving out quiet zones for deep work. Investing in great admin support isn't just delegation. It's a strategic move to free up leadership focus.
Okay, so those organizational strategies offer a really solid framework. But what about the individual manager sitting there with their overflowing inbox right now? The Gartner peer community offered some more personal, hands-on tactics.
That's right. Because while the organization sets the stage, individuals aren't helpless. They can take ownership. The Gartner discussion acknowledged that, any prioritization method has biases. But they mentioned WSJF weighted shortest job first as one useful approach.
WSJF?
Shortest job first. It basically helps you rank tasks by looking at value, urgency, and also the cost of delaying something. It makes the trade-offs a bit more explicit, helps you see your own biases maybe.
And inevitably, the classic urgent versus important battle came up again. It's just always there, isn't it? Balancing the immediate fires with the long-term goals.
It's the perennial tightrope walk. The Gartner folks shared some practical tips, like grabbing quick wins sometimes just to build momentum. That feels good, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Another big one, constantly checking back against the bigger picture. Are these steps actually moving us towards the strategic goals? Then there's the eat the frog method. Tackle that task you're dreading first thing.
Get it out of the way.
Exactly. Prevents procrastination. And obviously, the rule of dealing with things that are truly urgent and important right away. Oh, and one more insight I liked. The idea of doing things right while doing the right things. It might feel slower up front to focus on quality and strategy, but it saves tons of time and rework later.
Okay, so pulling this all together, it really sounds like effective time management for managers isn't about finding one magic trick. It's really a two-sided coin, isn't it? Organizations need to step up, think strategically about leadership time, support their middle managers better, streamline their own processes. And at the same time, individual managers need to be proactive, develop their own strategies for prioritizing, making sure their time aligns with what matters, and, taking control of their day.
Exactly. Just telling managers be more productive is pointless if the system itself is tripping them up. But when organizations create the right environment and individuals consciously manage their time, aligning it with strategy and people development, that's when you see real effectiveness, less burnout, and just better results all around.
So maybe as everyone listening thinks about their own week or how their organization works, here's something to chew on. What's one specific change, even a small one, that you or your company could make starting today to better respect and manage this incredibly precious resource time? Really think about that balance between the systemic support from the organization and the personal accountability we all have to make the most of our hours.
Thank you for listening to ProcessCast. This episode was brought to you by HEFLO, the BPM platform that empowers businesses to document, automate, and optimize their processes with AI. Experience the intelligence to simplify complex business processes and accelerate your growth with our complete management solution. Visit heflo.com to learn more. Be sure to follow ProcessCast for more insights on business process management, and don't forget to share this episode with your network. Until next time.